Hi friends, welcome back to the StoneburnerBooks YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about setting up processes and workflows to help you really get going with your creative business. In the past couple weeks we've been talking about getting the building blocks set up for your business and pricing, and so today we're going to talk about what the day-to-day actually looks like. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is that it's okay to start small. Please don't feel pressured that you have to have, 50 items ready to go on your website when you first launch. Do what you can to get a few items up on your website or wherever you're going to be selling. And I think it's important to start small because when you're doing your first few transactions, you'll see if things are working or if they're not working. Like, are you actually undercharging for shipping? And every time you're actually seeing how all the numbers work out with fees and shipping, and does it leave you with very little profit at the end? So you can adjust that if you've just got a few sales going at the beginning, and instead of having a whole huge website launch with tons and tons of items, and then you actually realize, oh man, I shorted myself on the profit side of this. So start small. Don't feel like you need to do a ton of things all at once, and just work your way into it, but set up the processes so that once you hit the ground running, then you can really build from there. Okay, so how do you run a business, especially if you're the only person, you're your own boss, and you have to make sure that you're on top of everything? So one super important point to remember throughout all of this is that you need to set up a process that you can consistently achieve. So do not come out of the gate thinking, okay, I'm going to work this many hours after my full-time job. I'm going to come home and work for another 4 hours. If that's not realistic for you, don't do that, because you're going to burn out. If you only have 15 minutes a day to work on it, but you can consistently say, yes, every single day for 15 minutes, I can work on this. And some days I might have more time and some days I might have less, but I can commit to 15 minutes, then that should be your starting point. You can always work into more time, but don't overcommit and either burn out or feel like you're not meeting your goals, so you then quit. For me, this is a process that looks like working every day before 8 a.m. That is the only time year-round that I can commit to working, because I have 2 small children, and when they're in school, I have a lot more time to work. But when they're home for the summer, I only have guaranteed that little bit of time before 8 a.m. So some days I'm up at 5 if I have a lot of work to do, or some days I'm not getting into the studio till 6:30. But that is a time I have set aside and committed to, that I know I can have that time every single day, regardless of what else goes on in my day. That is something every single day for the entire year I can commit to. So if you only have a little bit of time each day, you're going to have to prioritize, and that's going to look different for everybody's business. For me, I prioritize packing up orders that need to go out, responding to messages and comments, and doing kind of the customer service aspects of it, especially if I'm short on time. I like to make sure I'm taking care of my customers first, and then as I have more time, I get into more of the creative pursuits. So if you have a big project or big goals, the best thing to do is to break it down into small parts. So for me, I sit down every Sunday and I look at my calendar and I think, okay, what needs to happen in the week ahead? I like doing this on Sunday when I am a little bit less busy in my personal life and in my business life, and I can really focus and see the bigger picture. Sometimes when I'm in my daily routine, it's hard to kind of see that big picture. So I like taking a single set of time and sit down and look and see, do I have custom orders? Do I have a live stream I need to prepare for? Am I launching a YouTube video, but I actually have to make something for that? Like, that way I can plan it out throughout the week and have a guide post each day where I know what I'm doing. Now, I don't get super duper detailed about it. I set a couple goals for myself each week. And like one of my goals this week was bench work. That is just my indicator to myself that I need to be actually making stuff this week. And it is a very broad and general goal, but that way I know throughout the week, that's one of my priorities. I haven't been at the bench a whole lot. Maybe I've been focusing on filming things or doing other things in the previous week. So I wanted to commit for that week back to being on the bench. Having a general outline for what you're going to do throughout the week is so important, because that way you don't get to the middle of your week and you say, what am I supposed to be doing? And also it helps you to not get pulled by something else, either in your personal life or in your business life, that, oh, shiny thing over here, I want to go do this new project. But if you're setting it up, like looking at just a week ahead and setting up some goals for yourself, that way you make sure that you're on track to meet your goals, whether they be creating items, shipping items, getting your shop updated, or your social media posts, things like that. So having a big picture look at it keeps you going throughout the whole week, and that way you're not saying, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Okay, I'm going to reiterate this point. Be realistic with yourself and how much time you have. Setting goals is so important, but you also need to make sure that they're realistic goals for you and for your time that you have that week. That's why I liked setting weekly goals, because they can be very small. They can be reply to that email that you've been putting off, that you really should be replying to and finishing up on that, but you have been pushing it off for other things. So it can be really simple things like that. It does not have to be a huge goal, but you should make sure that you're realistic about it. And also be gentle with yourself. Some days I am just not feeling creative. And so setting kind of general goals for the week and moving through on a weekly basis. If I'm not feeling creative that week, then I can focus on some other aspects of my business that don't really require a lot of creativity. So being flexible and being okay with readjusting your goals as you go through the week. Everybody's workflow is going to be different. I, for instance, am not a night owl. I would much rather get up at 4:30 in the morning and work until 8 a.m. and have that time. My brain is more active. I've got the coffee going, that is just my time. But I know some people love it after 10 p.m. to work. So whatever timing works for you, I'm going to take you all through my personal workflow that I use and how I break things down in a minute. But I just want to set this disclaimer that everybody's workflow is going to be different, especially if you're working a full-time job and you're fitting work in the time that you have off, or if you're a parent and you're a caregiver and you're trying to figure out little pockets of time throughout your day to do your own business. So everybody's is going to look different, but here's what mine looks like. So as I said, I sit down on Sunday and I plan out my week. Typically I plan to post 1 to 2 times to Instagram each day, Monday through Friday. And then I go live with my Instagram subscribers, usually on Wednesday or Thursday. Friday, I post a new YouTube video. And then if I'm having any kind of shop update that week, I do it either Thursday or Friday. That doesn't happen every week, but every couple of weeks. So I have these main mile markers that are consistent every week that I need to do. So once I have that mapped out, I can then work my way back and see what things need to be made for those items, what needs to be prepped, what Instagram reels or posts could be created from those other bigger projects. And that's how I really work and get my week planned out, starting from the bigger projects and working down. So typically I start my workday around 6:30. I work from about 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. And in that time, I am prioritizing things that need to get done for that day. So that could be packaging up orders that I'll need to take to the post office later, prepping materials if I am going live or recording something for YouTube later that day, and also posting to Instagram. I have just gotten into the habit of doing a post before 8 a.m. every day. And that's just one of those things that I feel like it gets the day started, and that way I have the whole day to respond to comments as they come in. Okay, so if it's in the school year, then I have about from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. where I can potentially work. I often get sidetracked by other things in my regular life that I have to do, but that's kind of my biggest block of time where I have access to be able to work. So during that time, I'm responding to messages and comments on whatever I've posted earlier that morning. I am filming things if they need to be filmed. I'm creating items and, just being at the bench and working, and just doing all of kind of the day-to-day stuff, answering emails and getting stuff ready for my shop updates. So that is when the bulk of my work happens. But like I said, if it's summertime, I only get small pockets throughout the day where I can maybe answer an email here or respond to a comment there. But most of that work really gets pushed to early in the morning. After 3 p.m., I kind of turn into a pumpkin. I pick up my kids and then I try to stay off of my phone between when I pick them up and dinner time so that I'm actually FaceTiming with them instead of looking at my phone, answering questions or responding to comments. So I try to take that little bit of a break. Now, if they are off doing other things, I might pop into the studio and work on something then. But I do try to take a little media break then. And then after dinner, it's hard for me personally to get back into work unless it's a busy season. During the holiday season, I will often again work from about 6 to maybe 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night if I need to get stuff ready, if I'm, have a show that weekend or something like that. So that is my general workflow. I definitely have gone through seasons where I've had much less time. As my kids were younger, would only have a little bit of time here and there to work on it. But that's the great thing about having your own business, is that you can set those times where you can work and you can build it. And sometimes you're going to be building and sometimes you're going to be maintaining. And sometimes, you're going to be frustrated that you're not growing. But I'm just going to reiterate, be gentle with yourself, set realistic goals for yourself as well. And know that if you start and get your business set up along the right path, as you grow, you'll grow into those structures. So I hope that this has been helpful, seeing kind of how my workflow goes and what I prioritize. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. It would be great if you subscribe to my channel so you could see more about both my bookbinding tutorials and running a small business. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.